So this word is being spoken for each one. I recognize now that this something called God is omnipresent. It is at the center of the universe, which happens to be the center of everything and anything. So that divine, loving creator is at the center of each one's being. And that infinite intelligence, that pure, loving being, that first cause, all-powerful, all-knowing, is now divinely guiding each one to know its presence, its love, its care, its wisdom, its guidance, and it is bringing to each one, at the very center of each one's being, all of its peace, all of its protection, all of its love. Whatever anyone requires, it is present at the center of each one's being, and each one is now made more aware of the presence of love, of intelligence, of peace, of harmony, of goodness. And wherever anyone is, and no matter what one may be facing, the spiritual truth is now and always, there is a way for each one to move from wherever they are, no matter what the condition may look like, wherever anyone is, to greater good. There is a path, there is a way, and there is a way because the divine is omnipresent, and it is always creating a path of movement from good to greater good for every little spot in the universe, and that includes each one. So wherever there is a feeling or a sense or a belief in hopelessness, of being overwhelmed, wherever there might be an experience or belief in being a victim, wherever there is an unconscious or conscious conviction that there is no option, that there is no way out, it's all erased, evaporated, and vanished, because the omnipresence of God is always creating freedom. It's freedom. It is always creating a way for each one to have freedom of choice and the subsequent freedom to move and act on that choice. And so that's present right where each one is right now. And so any condition in the world cannot overrule the continuous essence, the presence of love and freedom and harmony that is everywhere present. And so all human race belief that something in the world can overwhelm God, can take control, any belief in duality, in good and in bad, any remaining unconscious or conscious belief that bad things are normal, that there's no way to escape, all fear of the world, all belief that the world is not a friendly place, all belief in conflict and in issues, it's all by this word erased, evaporated, and vanished, because the omnipresence of this one something is love, pure, unconditional love, and that love does not contain with it any desire to hurt or harm. In fact, pure love does not even recognize anything that is different than the self-givingness of itself. And so this loving presence is giving of itself to each one, and each one is expanded in allowing the greater good, the loving presence, its care, its guidance, its making all things right. Each one is allowing more of this to be present in their lives right here and right now. And each one is standing on solid ground, on that ground of truth. Each one is rooted in truth. And so there is nothing that can be going on in the world that would knock one off one's course. Each one is rooted solidly in truth, the highest truth, that all is well, that this loving Creator is love, and that it is present, and that the facts are always changing, but the truth is never changing. And so on that truth that never changes, each one is standing firm on solid ground, unswayed, unswerved by anything that is going on in that ephemeral world around each one. And so as a result, each one is now completely undisturbed, always knowing the presence and the power of peace, and allowing that peace and its wisdom, its infinite information, intelligence, to guide each one from wherever he or she is into greater good. There is a way, always. And no matter what the circumstances may be, the truth is each one is on that divine path of moving from good to greater good. So any judgment or opinion that bad stuff is happening, it's a lie, no matter how much one may not like whatever particular condition is, the truth is revealed, which is that condition is past, over, gone, and the subsequent conditions are created out of each one standing on the truth, on the presence of love. And so what unfolds for each one is a harmonious unfoldment, evolution of moving from good to greater good. But what each one has as the gift, the pearl of great price, is that consciousness that knows all is well, and that everything in the world is working in each one's favor. Each one accepts the grace descending of love, and set free of one's own fears and worries and concerns and upsets. Each one is set free of all that, so that each one is able to stand in truth and know that that divine sunlight is always shining, and that love is fully and completely unconditionally present and given, and that each one is loved, each one is supported, each one is blessed, each one is enough. All that one believes that one needs, each one is enough to handle whatever may be going on in the world, to handle it with grace and with conviction that all is well, and is able to move on this planet, in this earth, knowing the truth and enjoying one's interaction with all that is this universe. And yet to be absolutely knowing that each one knows that one is safe, loved, guided, blessed, taken good care of, that all is well, and each one knows that he or she is enough. Enough. Good enough, God enough, divinely created to be enough. To look upon each one's entire world from that higher perspective of knowing that one has dominion. To have dominion. To be able to be in this world and yet not a victim of it. This is the truth, and this is the truth of each one. And each one is right now experiencing this truth, and with amazement, delight, and gratitude, experiencing the inrushing of spirit, of love, and of all good things. This is the truth. I am grateful that this is the truth. So I release this word to the law, that loving law that takes care of everything according to this direction. It obeys. It says, yes, this is good, greatest good of all. Each one agrees. Enough said. It's done, and so it is. Okay, and that's the way it is. All right, grateful. Thank you so much. Oh, good. So somehow I got, Michael is here. I get to see you there. And Deja, you're here. Sue, it's good to see you. Kathy. Oh, and for those who've been treating for Jack, he is home. So more thanks for prayers. Yes, so there we go. Okay, good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for letting us know that, Sue. Spiritual mind treatment works. And by the by, we have all these practitioners here, so feel free to make a request for spiritual mind treatment. It works. Well, having said all that, Reverend Rich is ready to sing us into the day.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world that's full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this precious moment when I hear all that never has been said. And right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world that's full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this precious moment when I hear all that never has been said. And right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. I find love, I find myself. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
And so let's take a moment and very thoughtfully connect with our heart and decide for what we want to be open to this day. And when we are open to a divine quality, everything in our world gets straightened out. So let's open up to the life, the love, the power, the peace, the harmony, the joy, the beauty, the love of the divine. And if there is a particular need that you may have right now, allow that to be on the table. Allow yourself to be open to receiving the solution, the answer, the fix, the need, whatever. So opening to all this, we know it is provided in some divinely grace-filled way, and so it is.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
Good morning. My name is Gary Torres, and I'm a practitioner here at the Centers for Spiritual Living, Princeton. A couple of little announcements. We have our usual Wednesday evening meditation led by Susan Mead. It starts at 7:30. It is on Joel Goldstein's. I have it listed with a few seconds today. So it is on Joel Goldsmith's God, the Substance Above Form, Chapter 10, starting at 7:30. I wanted to read our mission statement, which says, "We are a loving and inclusive community which teaches and practices principles of the science of mind for the benefit of ourselves and the world." This morning, in the relative world, we seem to be having a lot of experience with water. And I started this morning on an interesting note. I was somewhat distracted. I poured myself a glass of water, had it almost at the brim, walked away because I was distracted by something else. I don't remember what the something else was, but I know that it was terribly important at the time. and eventually go back and start pouring myself a glass of water into the same glass. And it started overflowing. So I was reminded of something that comes out of the Zen tradition, where a monk is seeking enlightenment. He goes to a Zen master, and the master invites him in and says, "Would you like tea?" And he says, "Of course." And the master goes into the other room, gets a teapot, brings it out, starts pouring it into his cup. And he just keeps pouring and pouring, and the tea reaches the top of the teacup and starts overflowing. And the monk says, hold it, you're over, you want to stop. This is all overflowing. Everything is getting all wet. And the master says, "You come to me seeking enlightenment, but your mind is already full of all this other stuff. How do you expect me to put anything else in there?" So that was kind of the experience that I had this morning. I just said, all right, I guess the universe is trying to tell me that I should be paying attention to higher things and not getting distracted by whatever it was that distracted me in the first place. So, you know that our community can be reached through our website, cslprinceton.org, and of course here on Facebook. Have a good day now.
Finding myself at lost for words. Funny thing is, it's okay. The last thing I need is to be heard. To hear what you would say, word of God's speech, would you pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see your majesty, to be still and know that you're in this place. Please let me stay and rest in your holiness, word of God speak. Finding myself word of God's feet, would you pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see your majesty? Be still and know you're in this place. Please let me stay and rest in your holiness. Word of God speak, would you pour down like rain, washing my eyes to see your majesty? Be still and know that you're in this place. Please let me stay and rest in your holiness. Word of God speak.
Thanks, everyone. Good morning. I'm Damaris Otero-Torres, and I'm a practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. I'm so happy to be here today in the midst of this seeming storm, even though it's quiet here right now. So I would like to, well, first remind you that all the practitioners here are available for you. If you need one of us, please shoot us an email. We, as I've said before, love to practice the presence, and that's what you out there in the world do for us when you send us a request. So give us the chance to keep on practicing and growing in our faith and in our knowing of the truth. And as we know the truth, as we all know, we become a center of life, spreading the light, spreading the knowledge that we are one. So I will start this contemplative moment by reading an excerpt from 365 Days of Richer Living, written by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. And this is the first paragraph for the meditation for June 6th, if you have that book. And it reads, all mind operates at a center within me. All love seeks an outlet through me. God's action in me is my own real self. And to it I now devote my attention. I know myself as God knows me, and all disbelief is erased from my consciousness. Contemplating myself as a spiritual being, I realize the vast possibilities before me. I am unconditioned by the world, for I am mind in action. I now become the person I have always hoped to be. Finding the spirit within me, I change all my opinions of myself. No more self-limitation. No more self-condemnation. Today, I am God's creation, and as such, I move forward in my life. So in that consciousness, I invite you to take a deep cleansing breath. And just for a few seconds, let infinite intelligence within you be your guide as you connect with that unadulterated part of your being that knows, and knows that it knows that its true essence is love expressing. Divine love commands that we each accept the spark of divinity that we came to actualize in this lifetime. Your soul knows that which is yours to do, to live the dream of love that God envisioned for you. The one mind prompts each one here to stretch beyond the familiar, to release the divine splendor within without fear, hesitation, or concern. I invite you to check your heart and let it reveal what it is that you're called to do, to live more of God, to shine more of God, to be more of God. When we recognize that God's law paves the way to our fulfillment, our hearts feel the joy, trust, and poise as we witness the cosmic perfection of the one presence particularized in our lives. There's nothing too big or too small for the law. We simply need to say yes to Spirit and let it do its mighty work. It's simple. All ideas of good in our minds are there because these first originated in the mind of God. All that is needed is already provided by the infinite intelligence. Our main goal is to accept that we are immersed in the magnificence of Spirit, or in more simple terms, the magnificence of Spirit includes each one. So let these truths sink into our hearts. The beauty, the peace, and the power of the one mind is available for you always. Let Spirit whisper the quality that will strengthen your perception that the substance of life that God is fully vitalized within you, leading your path, shining its light, uplifting and inspiring you every step of the way. Nothing else is required. So in that consciousness, let's just know that back of every situation, back of every thought, there's always a higher truth. And that truth is simple. There is only one power, one presence. And that power and that presence is God, is good, and is actively alive. There's nothing that can hamper its vitality, nothing that can oppose its good. Nothing is bigger, brighter than the love and that the substance of God that each one is. So as each one recognizes this truth, and as each one recognizes that they are one with the presence of God, we can look at all storms, at all seeming floods with the conviction that each one is a center for the peace of God. That nothing, absolutely nothing, can oppose the good that God is, and by extension, that the God that each one carries within. That is the only truth, and that recognition allows each one to be centered, to be cast into our worlds, and to pray, to treat every storm away. That is the power that each one has. That is the power that each one is free to accept. I am one with God. The power, the glory, and the kingdom is mine, and the law translates everything into God's standard of good. There's nothing missing in our universe. I know this word is the truth, and I now release it to the law, knowing that the law does what the law knows how to do, and it is good. And so it is. Amen. Have a great service.
I'm doing this song as an affirmation. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way and roadblocks. Gone are the dark clouds that made me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad studies have disappeared.
Amen. Yeah.
Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Here we go. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the roadblocks in my way. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be bright, bright, sunshiny day. And now we have Reverend Karen
Oh, okay, my turn.
and a wonderful message, dragons.
Dryness, yes. So we are knowing the highest truth for all of you out there. Thank you, Reverend Rich. Perfect song. We're claiming it. That's it. That's what we know. And we're sticking to our story, and we're not going to change until you see it. That's it. Case closed. So, great. So this little series on our experience of thinking and its impact, or the way it shows up in our physical body, continues, and it will continue next Sunday also. So it's a 5-week series. I've been guided, and I've been using all these wonderful metaphysical diagnostic books that people like to publish, and I'm so grateful for them for doing that. We know Louise Hay, her little book, Heal Your Body, is a lovely little chart of naming different types of physical symptoms, the false beliefs that could create that sort of thing, and then the spiritual truth that would possibly heal that particular condition. And so with all those types of books, we want to realize that that's the best information that that person had who wrote that book at the time. And it's interesting to know, but always listen to your own inner wisdom when you are thinking about what you need to know as truth regarding your own personal self. And so we have practitioners here who are trained to listen to that inner voice on your behalf, and certainly on behalf of me. A couple of weeks ago, I came here and I asked our practitioners who are here who would like to treat for me, and one of them raised her hand, and I said, okay, I have the condition of poison ivy. And this is what I know was going on with me. I was taking a walk at one of the preserves around here, Nature Walk, and I decided to take a trail I didn't even know existed. I saw a new trail. Well, clearly it's not a new trail because it was all overgrown. But I decided to take it. It was a different path for me. And I was afraid of ticks. Now that was going on in my consciousness. And so there was a fear of nature. And I, was blessed not to have an encounter with a little creature. Well, not a tick. I did have a flock of Canada geese that made me retrace my steps and not continue that walk anymore. That's another story. but I did have bugs, things that were biting me while I was walking, and I'm, waving them away, whatever. Again, that fear of nature, and then nature biting me up. And so then when I started noticing bug bites all over me, I assumed it was all bug bites. And then after a week of this kind of nonsense, I figured out, wait a minute, they're not all bug bites. So anyway, I asked our practitioner, I told her all that, because those are the false beliefs that are operating in me, or were operating in me, and coming out as a physical symptom to tell me, Karen, you are afraid of nature. You think there's something in nature that's going to hurt you. You went in there with that thought, and you got it. So erase it. So she did that work, and I'm telling you, immediately, all the itching evaporated. It was gone. And the only thing I had to deal with was all the scratches that I had made on my body that still is in process of healing. So spiritual mind treatment works because we are realizing what is natural to us. And the truth, we call it. And the only reason why any of us is not experiencing a healthy body on every level is because we have introduced an element of fear or false belief in some sort of way. And so these different diagnoses books can serve as a little bit of a guide to show us where we might be erring. So 3 weeks ago I talked about assimilation, which is a conscious, ought to be, a conscious act. We know in our bodies we are consciously choosing what to put in our bodies, what items we are going to feed into ourselves. We're very conscious of it, although, right, we tend to go unconscious. But it doesn't matter. If you're putting it in, that's what you got. And so the only way to deal with what we are going to assimilate is to become more conscious, more aware in choosing what to put into our bodies. Also, what thoughts to put into our consciousnesses. I have a little example. This past week, I had been in my refrigerator, there was this little plastic container, a little yellow container, and it had green plastic leaves on the top, and it was yellow. And so I had put it in my refrigerator because I figured, oh, it's lemon juice, right? And so I decided, okay, I'm going to put into my body some lemon water. And so I got this little container and I opened it up and I put a couple of nice drops into the water. But before I tasted the water, I thought, something in me said, maybe it's not lemon juice. It doesn't look like a lemon with those green things on the top. And so I took my finger and I touched the top and I tasted it. Don't do that. It was soap. It was water bubble, bubble blowers. When I opened up the lid, there was a little device with a little circle that you could blow through and have little bubbles. Don't do that. Don't do that. It really didn't matter how much lemon water I drank after that. That taste was there. I had assimilated it, and now it needed to circulate. So our circulation we dealt with the second week, which is the only thing that can circulate in your body is what you have assimilated. And whatever you have assimilated, it's got to circulate. So watch what you stick in there. So even though I know this brilliance, I stuck water bubbles or whatever into my being. I won't do that again. I hope. Divine guidance, please. Be more conscious, be more aware. So given that we have ingested whatever into our consciousness of thought, or our bodies as food, it's going to circulate. And then what we can do to improve our experience of circulation, no matter what we have, is set an intention of a divine quality that will be present in that circulation in us. And I always recommend love, and most of these books recommend love. That divine love is what is causing the circulation in my system of thought as well as my body. And if there's something that you stuck in there that you shouldn't have, divine love will know how to circulate it in a healthy way. And then last week we talked about elimination or letting go. And I mentioned that, it's, I think, mostly a matter of what our habits are in letting things go. And that we need to be conscious of what our habitual releasing patterns are and determine if they need some sort of modification. And I've been doing a whole lot of releasing the past couple of months, and I can see how my thoughts about it and my feelings about it are affecting my experience of releasing, and that I'm working on improving that release with ease and grace in my habits, my physical habits, right? Taking out the recycling, that kind of thing. And then also in my habit of letting things go in my consciousness, emotions and fixations and beliefs, even beliefs of truth that are no longer serving me in where I am now, my highest and greatest good now, letting things go. Okay, having said all that, today we talk about our structure. Yeah, we're talking about our bones, our backbone, our muscles, the framework.
11 a.m.
It's 11 a.m. And so we perhaps may notice from time to time that as human beings we have certain issues in our structural body. And ever since I began running and then dancing, I am continually brought into awareness of different parts of my structure that are shouting at me for attention. And in thinking about what is operating at that structural, that framework level, intuitively I sense that it's our faith. Our faith is our foundation. We metaphysicians realize that, right? My faith, I stand upon my faith. And when we stand upon our faith, with that structure, we're able to then make whatever kind of assimilation, circulation, and elimination adjustments or choices that we might need to do. Some of these authors have added some interesting additional ideas. There's this one book, it's translated from German, The Healing Power of Illness by Thorwald Detlefsen. And in it, he's talking about the motor system and nerves, and he brings out a very important thought about it. When we speak of people's attitude or stance, to say nothing of their position, bearing, or posture, it is not immediately obvious from the expression itself whether we are referring to their physical attitude or to their inner attitude. So I take a position about what's going on in the world. Just Reverend Rich sang, it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day, and we all said, yeah, that's our position. We're taking that stance. It's a stance of truth, and we are knowing that. And so It's reflected, right? We experience it as an inner attitude. It's my position I'm going to take from which I'm going to view the entire world. And then it also shows up as my physical stance. But the one point that he brings out is this. It's very interesting. He said, compared to other creatures, human beings stand upright. And we are the only ones who are designed to do that more than any other stance, right? And so what he writes is, at some point in the dim and distant past, humanity did manage to take the giant step of standing upright, and thus of turning its gaze upwards to the heavens and gaining the opportunity to become a god, little g, while at the same time conjuring up the specter of hubris, of already regarding itself as God with a capital G. Standing upright, he says, gives us the opportunity and the danger in how we identify with that which is the divine. And so it is our faith. So our structural body, the muscles, the motor system, and he goes on, even the nerves, our hands, our feet, bones, all that, reflect, or could reflect your position, the position that you are taking in how you want to relate to the world. Which goes back to the question that Susan mentioned last week that I asked her, do you believe that the world is a friendly place? Do you believe that the world is a friendly place? It is imperative to believe that is so. Many of our great metaphysicians 50, 60 years ago said that if you want to have a healthy, happy experience of living, we have to decide that the world is a loving, generous, happy place filled with delightful experiences and wonderful interactions with people. And so the question to ask yourself is, how are you doing with that? Because as I shared, I went out in nature and I was not believing that nature was a friendly place for me. It's filled with bugs, bushes, snakes, little creatures, geese, dangerous. And as I become aware of it, I'm really like, wow, I used to be a Girl Scout. You know, I slept out there. What happened to me? I don't get out enough. I need to climb some more mountains. I need to get out there more to get over this fear. But that newly discovered fear of nature is just an extension of an unconscious fear of the world. And as I was raised, my parents, God bless them, they were so protective of me that they wouldn't let me do anything. And what they used to say was, we trust you, Karen. We don't trust the world. And so what I got from that was, okay, the world is untrustworthy and they don't trust that I can deal with it. And so I keep having that recurring theme when I go out in the world. I have to do spiritual mind treatment to go to a party. I do. I mean, much less so than 20 years ago, but anything could happen at a party or in the woods or, in my parking lot or, anywhere outside of my house. Inside my house, I'm fine. But out there, step outside the door, I am exposed. And what I am exposed to is that position, unconscious position that I have taken toward the world, which I'm working on it. but I have to admit, apparently I don't believe it's a friendly place. It's kind of scary. As I was growing up, one side of my family took a photograph of all my cousins and me. And in looking at the photograph, the parents, the adults said, "Oh, look at that. They all have the Goloszewski back." And I'm like looking at the photograph going, I don't want the Goloszewski back. The Goloszewski back was hunched over. And so I keep, trying to stand upright. But one of the things that one of these authors points out is you can't force your posture. You can't lie. It's not going to work. Your physical posture, you can, some of us have been trained, walk around with a book on your head. And I wish that had been forced on me, but it wouldn't be changing your inner attitude. And so you might have that illusion that you are standing upright and you're fine. But what's going on in that unconscious attitude is going to wave some flags. And so how many people in our world right now, or in my world around me, experience some sort of back problem or some other kind of structural issue? And what I hear friends of mine say is, it's age. It's not. It is how many decades you've been going around with a posture of life that won't work anymore. I remember as a child in high school, I was able to do a back bend. And I was told, you have a strong back. And I really believe that. And then as I go into dance classes, well, I can't even, I'm like, what happened to my back bend? It's age. No. It's stubbornness. It's an inflexibility to newer ideas. So what our gentleman here, I've lost the page now, what he says is that our structure requires a balance of strength, of firmness, as well as flexibility. We need to stand upon truth and yet be willing to let it go for a higher truth, to realize something about yourself and to change your position. When we look at the human race right now, the world right now, oh my gosh, really, chiropractors and other sort of back specialists should be doing a booming business, right? Because the world really is loving taking a position about anything, about the government, the elections, people, movie stars, disease, the water that's going out there, what the township did. I mean, to take this position, that's fine. We're divinely given the opportunity to see the world from the perspective, from the point that we have been given. But to take a position and hold on to it inflexibly, so much so that you will not even consider that maybe something in what the other position is saying might be good. Then you've got a rigidity there, and if you're not sure, how's your body doing? If you are noticing any part of your body that is being inflexible, not moving as well as it used to, you can ask it, where am I being rigid? Where am I in need of taking another look and maybe coming up with another point of view? And then in this great big fat old book that I've mentioned before, translated, I believe, from the French, French, the Encyclopedia of Ailments and Diseases by Jacques Martel, he talks about the back in general represents the support of life. And Louise Hay is in agreement with that. And so his book and Louise Hay's books, they both have a little chart of every vertebrae in your back and identify what type of support it represents. Support by life. And so I know the lower back issues tend to, for me, and in these books, tend to remind me that I have a belief I'm not being financially supported. And so they've got charts you could go and look at. I'm sure they're even online, you can find them, that shows you like every vertebrae and what it represents. Where somehow you're not getting the support by life. You might be thinking of it as the world, as in, I'm not have enough money, I have to work harder in order to get more money. But it is your position with God, with life itself, that is in need of a greater truth to be revealed to set you free. We are divinely designed to have, the whole reason the divine has given us an earthly body is so that we can express the spirit that is us here in earth. And the spirit that is within us, we get to express in a unique way from our unique position. It's all the qualities of the divine, but each one of us has a unique way of expressing it, but still based upon truth. And we are divinely designed, as well as scientifically designed, to have a healthy body in every way. The body that has been constructed is self-sustaining and self-maintaining, but it is given to us to reflect the position that we have, what we are seeing, and how we want to relate. And that absolutely is completely affected by our beliefs, by what we are taking in as thought, how we let it circulate, how we release that which we have outgrown, that stance that we take toward it. All the qualities of the divine are included. You might be really great in expressing love and very weak in expressing wisdom or peace, and the body will show that. The body will show that somehow. And so what we can do is use our earthly body as a clue, because we're all moving from good to greater good. And clearly, for me, in moving from good to greater good, I needed to get a new position on nature. And I got to work on that, because something in me has set the wild woods out there, right? But, you know, what is that preserve? It's just the south of Princeton. Why won't that name come to me? Anyway, so it's a little nature preserve, beautiful. And someday I'll let you know what it is. But it's really not very far off the beaten track. There's farms all around it. And, you know, you go there and you walk around. It looks like you're way out in the woods, but you're not. You're, you know, in this little island of woodsiness. But I somehow, unconsciously, put that outside of what I believe to be divine. I put it outside of me. Separated myself. I haven't been out there lately. I've been hearing there's bugs out there. And that separated me. And so, okay, did it? We don't blame or shame ourselves. That's part of the disease, the false beliefs. And it's just, okay, I'm being called to take that in a higher way, to accept that I am one with it, to take a stronger position, with regard to this whole part of the world which is omnipresent. So instead of the position that I did have walking through the woods, which was, I had some kind of piece of paper with me. So I was walking like this, and this leaps over the weeds so that, and then when I saw, the geese, 9 of them, I'm there like this, and they're all looking at me like that and chewing, whatever, and a couple of them are like, the guards, and they take their position. We're watching you. We dare you to keep coming on this path. So I started singing lullabies to them and other various Girl Scout camping tunes. They did not join in, and they didn't get out of the way. So I retraced my steps. What kind of position is that? And yet that was me. That's what I did. You did not see me do that, but that's what I looked like. And what did that posture say? I'm afraid, things are attacking me from above, from below, I gotta be careful, I gotta move myself into a million different positions, and at a certain point, I have to go back the way I came. I can't go forward. All right. That's where I was. Is that where I want to be? We can do posture exercises, which, with the Goloszewski back, I've been doing posture exercises. I looked it up on the internet. You do this, and you do this, and then you do this, and then you do that for a certain number of seconds, whatever. How's that working, Karen? But what is this position? I have to protect myself. I'm afraid. Don't hurt me. I'm vulnerable. That's what this position is. Okay. I can't be any stronger to deal with all the false beliefs that I believe are out there in the world, but I can grow in trusting and practicing and having faith that love is omnipresent and that love is wherever I go. And so that's the spiritual work that I do right now. That love is there surrounding me as I notice that fear. So, our posture, our skeletal framework. One of these writers says, hey, look, you can get a replacement of body parts now. It's great, but it doesn't mean you've changed your consciousness. I wear glasses, and it's the funniest thing. Before I became a minister, I wore contact lenses my whole life. As soon as they came out, I was the first one to get those little plastic glass things or whatever they are onto my eyeballs because I didn't want anyone to know that I couldn't see. And somehow when I became a minister here 25 years ago, I was guided to let you all see that I'm not able to see. And it was the easiest thing in the world for me to take the contacts out and put the glasses on. And I know that at some point, and I think it's coming soon, that my practice of being willing to see who I am and what's going on with me is going to reveal in greater and greater clarity, it already is, and that at some point I'll be able to physically see too. I know that, and I want to know that I'm able to see because I see the truth and not because I did something else. That's just my choice at the moment. In the meantime, I will wear Spanx, although I chose not to wear them today. Don't look at the belly, which started this whole talk. Okay, so the thing, don't look. I know you're all looking. They're looking. But I chose not to wear it. It's like, okay, let it be. again, it's love, it's self-acceptance. It's really, okay, this is where my consciousness is, but I love it and it's not where I'm going to stay. So, next week, I'm going to talk about all 4 of these areas again. But what I ask you all is to, this coming week, ask me questions about a body part, so that when I talk about assimilation, circulation, elimination, and the structure, foundation of us, I'll have some examples that I can use, so that we can review what it all represents with some real life examples. Some of you who ask the questions, you'll get like maybe some divine wisdom revealed through maybe what I said or something else. That'd be great. Maybe a healing. Why not? And spiritual practices to support us in whatever it is, whatever aspect of ourselves we are working with. Okay? So feel free to ask questions. You could do it either in the chat here, or go to our website, cslprinceton.org, and send us an email. I get all the emails there, so you know who you're sending it to. Or you could send me an email direct, or you could do a, what do you call it, a message here on Facebook, something like that. So let me know. Whatever it is, ask your questions, and then next week we'll really be able to conclude this series with something that's useful to every single one of us. All right, so having said all that, it's time for some music. And we have a surprise musician here this day. So let's welcome Scott Allen.
Thank you, Reverend Karen. Thank you. Jeffrey's doing his new positions. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe, I believe. When you walk through a storm, keep your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm is a golden sky, and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. 'Cause I believe above a storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Thank you.
All right, so let's take that position that we believe. This word is being spoken for each one. There is a loving presence that has created each one and is surrounding each one, guiding, protecting, making straight the path. Each one, at a deeper level than ever before, believes in this truth, this reality. And as a result, each one is seeing everything about their bodies, their selves, their consciousnesses, their experiences, their emotions. Everything is improved because of this conviction within. I am grateful this is so. I release this word to the law. I trust in that law to make it so. And it does it very well. And so it is. And so it is Plainsboro Preserve. I looked it up. Robert, thank you very much for coming up with some ideas there. And we're ready to go. So Reverend Rich, take us out of here.
Guide my feet. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain. I'm a child. While I run this race, said I'm a child. While I run this race, I'm a child. While I run this race, 'cause I don't want to run this race in vain. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain. Whoa, yeah.
Woo! Okay, and so it is.